Hi, hello. Um, it's been a while since I made a video, like over a year, I think. Yeah. Actually, I just wanted to talk about like Gruvia, of course, but also like the Avatar situation. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, because I feel like a lot of the fandom kind of took that as such a knockback to Gruvia when, if you think about it, it wasn't really at all. It's just that there were things that were done that were not enjoyable to people who like Gruvia and to people who don't like Gruvia. You know, people who don't like Gruvia like jumped all over it and was like, look how unhealthy this relationship is. Look how messed up Juvia is. Look how much Gray really didn't want her there. And, and I think, like I said, even the fandom who like it were like, why did that happen? What's going on? And it was so I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to talk about like the before, the wonderful, okay, which was the 416, because that's before I made that happened after I made my last video, which is what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting that, but it was wonderful. And it absolutely was 100% satisfying, which is why when it happened, I was like, stop, don't touch them, do nothing, leave it. It was so perfect. I didn't want to see them again for ages. I was like, that was great, okay? Which means because it was so great, because it was so nice, because it was so positive, Mashima was going to do something to mess it up because he always does. He always does it on purpose, okay? The thing is, we were expecting a knockback eventually, okay? Because every arc, while while it does end on a high note for Gruvia wise, it still has a knockback. There's like a knockback and then a slight upturn. Um, but in this case, in Tartarus's case, it wasn't that. It just ended on a huge high note, huge, ginormous, amazing. That's what was dangerous because we never got that. We never just got high, 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 positive, positive, positive. There's always something, and therefore we knew that when we see them again, it was going to be bad. Something was going to knock them back because if they weren't canon, basically, because we were kind of expecting canon in some cases, we were like, maybe they will be canon because if considering this is shown and considering how Groovia's relationship is, if that had been like the end of the entire series, you could easily say that was like implied canon because of how Gray is, where he's so internal and so private and just so unemotional, and he just basically broke down and opened up to Juvia, and Juvia said, you know, atatakai, you're warm, you feel so warm, and I'll go back to that, but basically it ended on a high, and therefore something bad was going to happen. And that's why I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to see them again for a long time. I was so satisfied. I wanted to stay in that nice place, that comfy place, that place where you just feel like, oh, it all went so well. I don't want to touch them. I want to preserve that. And indeed, because the next time we saw them, of course, something even more unexpected happened. Again, something good, but followed by something bad. Turns out they were living together. They had shacked up. And I actually had joked about that. I was like, maybe they're gonna shack up. Maybe they're gonna end up living together. Wouldn't that be cute? They'd be like newlyweds, but not married. So it'd be like kind of like they were, but they aren't. And they're like in that sweet spot. And that is kind of what happened. But then, of course, Mashima happened also. So it's like you see Juvia, and she's devastated, she's sad, she's completely depressed again, and her rain is back, and there's all this drama, and it's like, oh, what happened, where's Gray-sama? Well, he was living with Juvia. They were living together as Juvia so smugly, started telling the girls about it, and they were all like, oh, scandalous. And she, Juvia was saying that They did everything together. They were working together. They were eating together. They were training together. And I'll go back to that as well later. Um, and even in this bed that she was lying in, everyone's like, oh, even Natsu was like, what? What? And then she's like, he kicked her out. He wouldn't let her sleep in that bed with him. But here's the thing. Again, people jump all over stuff like this, and they don't realize that Juvia says a lot of shit. She says a lot of stuff. She sits around asking for punishment and being kind of bold. And then when Gray actually does something, she gets really flustered. So that's Juvia. She's a lot of talk and not as much action, I guess, or it's just her personality. When Gray starts reciprocating or doing things or being flirty, or she gets really embarrassed. So anybody thinking she's trying to, like, I don't know, like, take advantage of Gray, she's not. She's never even asked him on a date, to put things into perspective. She never even asked. She tried. She did ask him for dinner, and he was totally going to say yes, if not for Leon. I love Leon, though. But yeah, Leon totally messed up that date. But anyway, but that was the point. Anyway, I'll go back. Anyway, so. Um, yeah, so they were living together, okay? And then Gray just up and disappears, strange marks all over his body, and she's like so worried. And everybody's problem with this is that they were living together for 6 months, and then 6 months Gray disappeared, and it's like Juvia fell apart. Okay, like she couldn't take not him not being around, and that like she just fell into depression, and she just stopped living. And people are like, that's not healthy. That's, that there's something wrong there. Why didn't she go find her other friends? Why wasn't she still doing things? She obviously was still doing things. First of all, the official translation wasn't that she just sat there waiting for him, because that's what she said. She said in the official version that she went looking for him. She was looking every day. That's what it said. Okay, so she didn't just sit around waiting for him to come back. And so she was doing something. She was looking every day, and then she decided, you know what? He's gonna come back. I believe he's gonna come back, because she obviously thinks, because he was going out more and more on his own. All right, she realized that because of the marks. She said that after that he started going out more and more on his own by himself. And she probably thought he left, and he left all his stuff behind, and she probably felt like he's coming back. Okay, he left on his own accord. She trusts him. She knows that he is a strong, powerful mage, and that if he left because he's doing something, but he'll be back. All right, fine. Okay, so she has faith that he's going to be back. She says because they had so many happy memories here, this was their home. She had faith he would come, he would return. All right, now I have a problem with that too, because you think it's a setup for, like a sweet reunion thing of, Gray finally returning home. She has so much faith, so much belief. Oh, Mashima. Oh, Mashima. So she had faith that he would come back. That's why she was waiting there, because she didn't want to miss him. She's like, if he's going to show up anywhere, it's going to be here. All right, because this is where we live. But she didn't stop living, because she's alive. She's not like she's dead. She's eating food somewhere. She probably is working on her own. She's doing the jobs that, Gray's not here to do with her. For all we know, she was still training. We don't know what she was doing. We just know it was raining and she was waiting for him. And we know she looked for him. We don't know how long she looked until she just stopped and waited for him to come back. But we know she must have been making some kind of living. Just because it was raining, she was upset. She was worried he was gone. Now, my problem is, Mashima did this thing where Juvia, unfortunately, and this is really what the issue is, it's a writing issue. It's not a character issue, it's a writing issue. Because the whole Juvia depressed, Rain, waiting for Gray to come back, not going to anybody for help, like, it doesn't make sense that Juvia, if she really was so worried, why didn't she go to Lamia Scale? Go, ask Leon, hey, you know what? Gray-sama kind of up and disappeared. Mind helping me out with that? She didn't do any. That's what doesn't make sense. And the reason Mashima did it that way is because this whole arc basically was just an excuse for Team Natsu to get back together in an overly dramatic way. Hence, Juvia's reign. Yay drama! Yay angst! But the thing is, Juvia suffered for this setup because she was a plot device. She wasn't a character. She wasn't everything she went through. 6 months of that. That was simply because she needed to be there. It needed to be raining so that when Natsu and Lucy came looking for her, they would find her. They'd know where she was because of the rain. They'd have a hint, a big hint. You know, Lucy knew. And the thing is, that's another thing. Juvia knew where Lucy was because she was reading her articles. So anyone who's saying Juvia doesn't like Lucy, they're not friends, Juvia was reading her stuff. Okay, she admitted it. She likes Lucy. She's soon about Lucy, okay, because she thinks with Lucy, she thinks Lucy is pretty. She thinks she's incredibly nice, very good hearted. She likes Lucy a lot. So her whole thing is if I like Lucy this much, of course Gray's gonna like her. You know, of course she's a love rival. That's the joke, okay? Juvia likes Lucy a lot, so she sees her as a threat because she's like, here's this really beautiful girl, this really awesome girl, and you know, she might take this guy who I like away from me. But that's not that. The whole point is Lucy never liked Gray like that. That's the thing. Anyway, sorry, tangent. Anyway, the point is that Juvia needed to be there. It needed to be raining so that they'll know where to find her and then have a hint of where to find Gray. That's the only reason. Again, she was a plot device. She was there so that they could go from point A to point B. Okay, and point B, Gray was in Avatar. It was like all this drama. Everyone was speculating, oh my god, is he evil? Has he been possessed? Has he, you know, like, is he just faking? My whole thing from the beginning was he was faking. He was doing a silver. I couldn't see him actually being evil. But as time went on, I wanted more things from it because Juvia's situation seems so overdramatic. Like, Wendy's there. She healed Erza from poison and from Cobra's poison, and she can't heal a cold that Juvia got from the rain. Juvia was in the rain all the time. Okay? She grew up in the rain. She had 17 years of rain. As far as we know, she didn't get sick from it. Here she is, sick from the rain. Again, the drama. It's drama and to keep Juvia out of the way. Because guess what? If Juvia had gone with Team Natsu, had gone with Natsu and Lucy to go get Gray, he probably wouldn't have let them hurt her. Okay, she would have blown his cover immediately. And all this stuff, the thing is, we find out when they finally find Gray, and we find out that it was Erza who had talked to Gray and sent him on this mission. Now, I will tell you, this doesn't make sense on many levels. First of all, Erza is in contact with crime societe. And I don't like saying it like that, by the way. I like crime sorcery because that sounds cool. Crime societe, or whatever it is, sounds like a French pastry, which is, I'm sure, would be delicious, but that's not, like, you know, doesn't sound very intimidating as far as guilds go, like dark guilds or whatever they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be like vigilantes, so yeah. Anyway, any of them, any one of them, Jalal, Melody, the Arajian Says, any of them would have made more sense to infiltrate this place than frickin' Gray. Okay, because Gray has been good all the way through. They have, like shady past. They have been in dark guilds or been messed up or evil in some way. So why would they send Gray undercover to do something like this when any of them would have been more appropriate to infiltrate Avatar? I guess they could say, oh, they all were like infiltrating different, sections of this like network that was this dark alliance of what, Zareth worshippers, because apparently there were a lot of different factions. But that's not what they said. They didn't say, oh, Jalal was busy doing this. No, they had Gray do it. Why? Again, drama. It doesn't make any sense. Why was Gray infiltrating? I don't know. But he did it because he wanted to find out information about Zareth and hopefully end. But key here, he didn't want to not tell Juvia. Erza, frickin' Erza, told him it's for her safety, don't tell her. Now, think about this. If Juvia had come along with Natsu and Lucy, because, they found out that they figured out where Gray was because of Natsu's lead from what Rogue had said, future Rogue, which again, that doesn't make sense either. That Gray would kill Frosh. Why? Why? In fact, I think they said it. It's in an afterword. It's in an afterword that no, it wasn't in an afterword. It was in like the question and answer portion with Lucy and Mary Jane. That they're like, why would Gray kill Frosh? He doesn't have any motivation to kill Frosh. And they're like, yeah. He's like, yeah. I didn't really, It was just he just decided it's Gray because he needs it to be in this case for drama. So maybe he's like, oh, maybe he was possessed by something. Yeah, maybe, but what? Why? Anyway, again, it doesn't make sense. It's don't think about it. So the point is that Gray wanted to tell Juvia, and he didn't know it was going to be that long. He probably thought it was going to be like, I think they said it was going to be like a week or maybe, he didn't think it was going to be that long. He wanted to tell her. He didn't because he wanted to keep her safe, so he believed Erza and he didn't do it. But he felt bad. Also, coincidentally or not, his name is Code Blue as far as their code names. Now, why Code Blue? I would think Juvia's hair, blue. That's me, cause shipper goggles. But I'm just saying, and and anybody who's like getting upset, because a lot of the fandom were like, well, the people who didn't like Gruvia said that Juvia doesn't deserve or need an apology because Gray didn't do anything wrong. He was doing it to protect her. But he did do something wrong, and he knows he did something wrong. He did it because of Erza told him to. But he should have given her more of an apology. But then and again, in comes Juvia, and we had. I mean, it wouldn't have been in Juvia's character if she had demanded anything more or had been mad, because Juvia wasn't even mad at Melody, who was trying to kill Gray. So she doesn't hold a grudge against the girl who was trying to murder the person she loves the most. What makes you think she's going to be angry at the guy she's desperately in love with? What makes you think that she's going to actually be furious? She was just relieved to see he was safe. That's what she said. She's like, as long as Gray Sama is safe, Juvia's happy. She doesn't need anything more. She doesn't need an apology. Gray explained to everybody what he was doing, basically. So she was just fine. She was just, relieved. Yay! Gray Sama's back. But yeah, what the other thing I wanted to talk about was that Gray Natsu's the only person in this whole arc, as far as Juvia is concerned, that I'm not mad at, because Natsu was saying it like it was. When people were making excuses for why they didn't tell Juvia that it was for her own safety, even though it was not telling Juvia that led to them being found out, because she didn't know what was going on, because she was left in the dark, Natsu and Lucy ended up, breaking into the Avatar base and basically ruining it all, and how very, convenient that their plan was going into action right then. Imagine if it wasn't. Imagine if they had found Juvia earlier in that reign, and they had went and got Gray, and they hadn't found out what was going on. Like if the mission hadn't been complete, and that they had just, blown his cover earlier. What then? And it would have been because they didn't tell Juvia shit. That's why. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense to not have told her. What does that mean for her protection, for her safety? I guess they thought that Juvia might barge in or something, or they could have trusted both of them and let them both in on the thing to infiltrate. But again, don't think about it, because you'll just get a headache. Don't think. But the thing is, people saying that Gray didn't care or didn't feel bad or whatever, he felt horrible. That's the point of the looks, the panels of just his expression, not saying anything. Natsu was berating Gray. Okay, he was getting on Gray's case for leaving Juvia behind and not saying anything. And like I said, Natsu's basically the only one who was saying it like it was, and who I'm not mad at, because he basically was like, even though they made this excuse that it was for Juvia's sake, he's like, yeah, but still, exactly, Natsu, but still, that was messed up. 6 months? 6 months? Even if you said, oh, we didn't think it was going to go on that long, when you saw it was going on that long, couldn't you have sent somebody to her? You know what, everybody's saying she overreacted. Dude, she didn't overreact. This guy, she's in love with, They were sharing a house together. Sorry if you could hear that noise. There's planes and helicopters and, all kinds of stuff, and my screensaver just went on. Sorry. Anyway, um, basically, he disappeared. Someone who's living in your house, someone you love with all your heart, up and disappears under very worrying circumstances, by the way, because again, she was worried about the freaking marks all over his body. That wasn't normal, and he's just like, oh, don't worry about it, it's no big deal. Of course it was a big deal, and he kept disappearing after that, and then he completely disappeared. So yeah, she was worried. She was worried, of course, because it's freaking scary. Someone just leaves and doesn't come back, and that's very worrying. So yeah, I don't think she overreacted, and he was gone for so many months. That was a missing person situation, okay? You would call the cops in real life under these circumstances. Basically, a member of her family left and disappeared, and he didn't come back. So no, she didn't overreact. Could she have done more? Should she have done more? Yeah, but Machima didn't let her because she needed to be there still in the rain, because then Natsu and Lucy had to come find her so that then they could find a lead on Gray. Again, drama, yay, plot device. So anyways, but yes, the thing is, Gray wasn't getting angry back. When Natsu was berating him, that's not normal. Okay, Gray would not just sit and take it. Okay, they're always arguing, they're always butting heads. And if Natsu's getting on his case, no way wouldn't he stand up for himself. He wasn't standing up for himself. He took it because he thought he deserved it, because he thought Natsu was right. That what he did by leaving Juvia alone and without a word all that time, he knew that was wrong and he felt shitty about it, and you could tell. But then here's the thing. Because Mashima was setting up this whole Juvia sitting around waiting for him for 6 months, believing so hard that Gray would come back, what would have saved this would be either Juvia to go with Natsu and Lucy and go find Gray, or for Gray to come back home, to have like a, tadaima, okaeri situation, welcome back, welcome home, I'm home. No, we didn't get any of that either. Nope. Juvia did go find him, but it was after the fact of him being found and already, the revelations coming out. Again, it's because if she had gone with Natsu and Lucy, this is the thing. He let Natsu and Lucy be hurt and captured. If Juvia was there, he wouldn't. That's the point. That's why she couldn't come. Because if she was there, he would have blown his cover, because he would never let someone actually hurt Juvia. That's the difference. Okay? And that's why he apologized. He apologized to Lucy, and because he did a pretty crappy thing. He just let her be hurt. And that's, and he said some really awful things. So, you had to make that right. And then she did come. Juvia eventually came. And here's the thing. Here's where we go into what we thought was sweaty Gray, which is strange. But yeah, he was just like, Juvia showed up because Briar confessed her love. And Juvia's like, so that would, I assume, make you a love rival. And she just attacked. And Gray looked like, what are you doing here? He was like so caught. He was like so guilty. And here's the difference, okay? Because during the GMG, Juvia had tried to hug him twice, okay? Once when the GMG was over, like they had won, and the second time when she confessed to him during the ball. Gray sidestepped both of those. He didn't let her hug him after the GMG during the celebration, and he didn't let her hug him when she confessed. He sidestepped that and walked away, leaving her lying on the floor crying, okay? In this case, Juvia hugged Gray, okay? And she better let her hug him, because he freaking like motorboated her. He stuck his face in her boobs for comfort at the end of Tartarus. So after that they're on hugging territory, okay? Juvia hugged him up, and Gray let her, and then he has this guilty look on his face. And then, again, this is why I'm saying we look at it as bad because of what happened with Juvia and Gray and not being satisfied with how all that ended up. We wanted more. And it's because it wasn't meant to be more. It was just a setup for Team Natsu to reunite. That's all it was. Like I said, plot device. Juvia was a plot device. So, we see them together, and Gray does say sorry, but then he says, okay, but we have to do something. We have to focus because we have to defeat these guys. And all of a sudden, Gray and Juvia synchronized strip. They stripped together because they were training together, and it rubbed off on Juvia. That's amazing because that's hilarious. Because Juvia, that's the thing. Juvia is very shy about her body. She doesn't even, when they're in the hot springs with the other girls, Juvia doesn't even want them to see her. So yeah, she stripped, and they like it was no big deal, and they got down to business and fought people together because they're awesome, and then the whole worry of Gray killing Frosh. It was so funny, Nazi's reaction, like when Frosh just showed up out of nowhere. He was like, that's not good. And then Gray's like looking at him, and then he gets this cute expression on his face, and he's like, "You're so cute." And he hugs up Frosh, and it's like that's not Gray, that's Juvia. That is a totally Juvia thing. So that's that again. Gray, Juvia rubbed off on Gray because as they say, people who live together start to act alike, and indeed. So Juvia's stripping now, Gray's being cutesy and hugging, you know, exceeds, and of course Juvia thinks that Frosh is a love rival now. And that's the thing. People are sitting around going, "Oh my God, she's so crazy," and she's even jealous. That's the joke. Okay, Juvia is jealous of everything that might have Gray's attention other than her. That's what's so funny. You honestly think that Frosh is a love rival. That's the joke. Okay, it's meant to be humorous, and it's also meant to be humorous on another level because if you people know, Gray and Juvia, they're voice actors. Also voiced Nagisa and Tomoya in Clannad, and that's like one of if not the most romantic anime ever. It's awesome, and their child Ushio, the person who voices them, also voices Frosh. So Mashima is like, I'm convinced, eternally amused by the fact that Gray and Juvia, that Nagisa and Tomoya are his Gray and Juvia. Like, that's hilarious, I think. He thinks. And it is, because Gray and Juvia are often so funny, but Tomoyo and Nagisa were pretty, like, angsty and sad, So it's like, and serious. So it's like, it is. It's funny. And like I said, so basically Nagisa is being jealous over her child, in an alternate universe, and that's the joke. Okay, it's not Juvia, being so crazy that she's even, so obsessed that she's getting angry over cats. Okay, no, it's Ushio and that's Nagisa, and ha 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 ha. Okay, Juvia doesn't discriminate. Men, women, children, exceeds, friends, enemies. It doesn't matter. They're all potential love rivals, because Julia sees Gray as like amazing, and who wouldn't want to be with him? Except that again is the joke. The only person who wants to be with Gray is Juvia in that way. Okay, that's the joke. And the only person who ever had a love rival in the Gruvia relationship was Gray, because of Leon. Leon did genuinely love Juvia. Nobody else genuinely loved Gray the way that Juvia loves Gray. Anyway, so that's pretty much how Avatar ended, except that there was the thing is, Gray did eventually go back to the house. It's just that they went back together and it was off-paneled. So it's just kind of disappointing because, again, Mashima made such a big deal of Juvia waiting for him, having so much belief in him to come home. And not only did Juvia have to go get him and that he did come home on his own, but when they did finally go back together, we didn't get to see any of it. So it's like, wow, that was such a letdown. Woo! So yeah, it was like after 416, you expected more than Julia being used as a plot device for, basically shallow drama, an excuse to get Team Natsu back together in like a, in a overly dramatic way. So it's a shame. It's a shame. Avatar's like one of my least favorite arcs because of that. But again, if you think about it, think about all the good stuff. Seriously, Mashima, the thing is, it's overshadowed by things that were disappointing, but they lived together. 6 months. They shacked up, okay? And they trained together, they ate together, they worked together, they did everything together. And Gray seemed pretty freaking okay with it, if you ask me. And I'll get to that too, because that was another thing that sucked. But we'll get to it, yeah. So, and not only that, again, they rubbed off on each other. Juvia's stripping, Gray's being all cutesy hug. And yeah, it's pretty ginormous. Nobody else, none of the other couples had a living together situation. Huge, very very huge. They were practically married. They were practically married, except that they weren't. They weren't married, but they practically were. So yeah, big deal, big deal. A lot of good things that their relationship is on a huge other level. So Avatar wasn't really bad. It's just that it was written in a way that made the unsatisfying parts stick out more than the good stuff. Um, Now I'll get to the other part that really just pissed me off and pissed a lot of people off, and oh my god, gave the people who hate Gruvia so much I don't know, I guess justification in their hate or disapproval. Here's the thing. Gray said when they were rebuilding the guild again, when they were rebuilding the guild, there were all these rumors going around that Juvie and Gray live together. That was true. That they're married soon, and that they have kids. They will. So, but then there was all this other stuff, like Gray was cheating on Juvia with Lucy, and Erza's also his mistress, and stuff like that, and he has Erza on the side, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute, okay? He's like, just what the hell, you're going too far with this. And then he's like, we did live together, but he's like, it's not like I invited her there, she just came and wouldn't leave. In other words, like, I think in the Japanese version it's kind of like she possessed the house kind of situation. And people were like, if that's the case, then Juvia, she followed him and basically imposed herself on him, and that's horrible. Wait. Think about what Gray is, how Gray is. You really think that Gray's so much of a pushover that if he really didn't want Juvia to live with him, that he would let her stay for 6 months against what he actually wants, against his wishes? Seriously? Does that sound like Gray? Does it sound like something he would do, that he's really that much of like just is gonna crumble to that extent that he's just gonna let her stay in his house just cause? Come on. He even said it himself. He said it at the end of the GMG. He goes, I'm going to say no to things I don't like from now on. He didn't say no. Okay? He didn't say no. She stayed. And here's the thing. She was going to give up on Gray. She was giving up in Tartarus at the end. He didn't let her. He freaking closed the gap and brought her closer, if anything. He stopped her from giving up on her love. And she was giving up on her love, by the way, because she hurt Gray. She hurt him really bad because she killed his father, not directly, but indirectly, and she felt like that's unforgivable. He's gonna hate me. And I made him basically miserable. I took someone he loved away after he was just reunited with him. It's all my fault, and I don't deserve to even try to pursue him anymore. It's just not right because of the pain I caused. That was what it was. But he stopped her. He stopped her from backing away from him. She was not going to love him anymore. That's supposedly what everyone says. He doesn't want her to. He doesn't want her love. He's not interested. But he stopped her from giving up. That's also the huge situation going on in 416. People, just focus on Gray. They don't focus on the fact that she was giving up and he stopped her. That says it all, really. So, Gray, and another thing that people don't take into consideration with Gray is he's a liar. He does not say the truth. In fact, we saw that recently, often, not all the time, but when it comes to things that make him uncomfortable, when it comes to like his feelings, especially if it's something he feels very strongly, very emotionally about, he's not going to be honest about it. It makes him uncomfortable because people he cares about most are people he doesn't, he's too Tsun and even Kudere, if you will, because that's also a trope, a type of character in anime that fits Gray very well. He is very cool, calm, collected, and he doesn't often show his emotions. It's not that he's emotionless. He's kind of like a mix between Tsun and Kudere. Kudere even has the word cool right at the beginning. It's very much Gray, but the point is that Gray is not honest. He's not. With things that really affect him, he's not honest. He doesn't. He sees it as a weakness. And like I said, we saw it recently when Natsu had run off by himself to go after Zaref. He's like, everyone was getting on his case, like, you don't believe in Natsu, and that's when he finally admitted, because he was getting really like combative, he was being like aggressive, and then finally he admitted, that it's not that, I don't trust or have faith in Natsu. It's just that I'm worried about him. And it took a long time. It took him, a while in that situation to admit what he was upset about. He was worried about Natsu, and he didn't want anyone to know. He was all blushy too when he was saying it. And that goes, I knocked something down. And that goes all the way back to the beginning of the series, where Gray and Natsu were in the lullaby arc, and they were gonna go off in separate directions. And Gray said under his breath, "Don't die." And Natsu's like, "What did you say?" And he's like, "Nothing." And he's all blushy again and running away in the other direction. He is Tsun, okay? Tsun and Kudere, and whichever one you want to pick, but it's a combo. He's not 100% one or the other, but the point is, this is a very common trope. The fact that people just take Gray 100% at his word, except when doesn't match what they want from him. That to me is just ridiculous. You're ignoring basically what his character is, because it doesn't fit your opinion of what your interpretation of the story is. But yeah, Gray isn't honest. So when he said that, of that, oh, she it's not like I invited her there, she just came and would leave. That's bullshit, okay? And not only that, we know it's bullshit because we see later on, which doesn't make it all 100% better, because it'd be nice if that stuff wasn't there, but it's not. We see later on that Gray has a talk with Juvia. And again, Juvia, like I said, when Juvia's pursuing Gray, she seems a lot bolder. But when Gray's being kind of flirty, then it's like she's so flustered. He's offering her a chocolate bar, and she's like freaking out because it's like an indirect kiss. His mouth was on that. So she's getting all like, yay, like all blushy, and then Gray drops this on her of, he's really grateful for her. He said he's really grateful that she's here. She's always by his side, and she's just like, completely shocked that he's saying these words. Again, she doesn't expect anything from Gray. Everybody who says that she's forcing herself on him, she's being too, aggressive and everything. She doesn't expect him to return her feelings. She's just keeping affection on him. She hopes, but she doesn't expect. And so when Gray says what he says to her, again, not only does it prove that what he said about that he didn't invite her there. Notice he didn't say he didn't want her there. He didn't say he didn't want her there. He said he didn't invite her there. She came and would leave. Nowhere did he said, I didn't want her there. Nowhere. And this is proof that he absolutely wanted her there, because he said he's grateful that she's there, always by his side. Hello? 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 And of course people are like, oh, it's out of character. Yeah, it's only out of character when you don't like it. So when Gray's saying straight up that he likes Juvia, and that because she's, and he likes her being there near him, then, you have a problem. I'm sorry, you have a problem. If you're sitting around going, oh, Gray's being forced, he's not real. That's the other problem I have with people. He's not real. He doesn't have a will of his own. Mashima writes for him. He knows exactly what's going on in his head and what he actually wants. Not you. You don't write Gray. okay? He doesn't exist without Mashima. He's right from Mashima's head, okay? He's in his brain. His imagination birthed Gray, okay? So he knows damn well what he actually wants. And apparently what he actually wants is Juvia. No shit, okay? So yeah, he does appreciate Juvia, appreciate that she's always by his side, always there for him. And he said that he's going to give her an answer. Right. Now, here's the thing. Okay, that is ginormous. That basically, to me, anybody who thinks that is the answer isn't anything to do with romance or isn't anything to do with Juvia's feelings, you are in deep denial, because unless Juvia, I mean, what do you think the question was? Like, let's say there was a question. Let's say Juvia asked him something during the time skip. What do you think the question was? What's your favorite color? You know, what's your shoe size? What do you think the question is? Why do you think she was so blushy? And not only that, the whole setup of that scene was complete like mirror to the balcony scene where Erza told Gray to be more direct and give Juvia an answer to her feelings back in the GMG. So, hello, Juvia, you know, he's like, just wait. He's like, wait. Okay, I'm gonna give you an answer. It would be nice if there was a question, honestly. That would be great. Like, imagine, my personal headcanon is that, you know, if there is a question, because, you know, Juvia doesn't know about the conversation that Gray had with Erza, as far as we know. So it seemed like she knew what he was talking about, and she seemed very surprised that all of a sudden he brought up he's going to give her an answer. But it could just be as simple as that. It's obvious that it's about her feelings, when considering what he just said to her. So, but if there was a question, I think the question might have been something like, what are, you know, Gure-sama, what are your feelings toward Juvia, or what are we, or something like that, which would make sense again. So, you know, he may have not been ready at that point to give her his answer. So, in my opinion, and why isn't he giving her an answer now? What is he waiting for? Why didn't he give it to her when they were living together? Well, because Gray is terrified of losing people, because Gray is terrified of, you know, something horrible happening to Juvia, that there's this danger hanging over their heads. His dad warned him about, and he wants to do what his dad asked. That's his first priority right now, and then that leaves the door open, for him to pursue things with Juvia too. Because if you think about it, he's trying to protect. He even said it actually, at the end of Tartarus when he was fighting alongside Natsu, fighting Margir. He said to protect the future. Now he's trying to protect his future, and his future, clearly, his future is going to be with Juvia, and that's the other thing. Ever since that scene, Gray and Juvia haven't left each other's sides. They've been together the entire time, and they're even fighting together now. And we saw, um, we saw Leon, okay, and he still liked Juvia. He was like cute, but then comes Melody, and now it's Melody who is cute. Now, I saw somebody on Twitter, a Japanese fan, going, "Oh my god, it makes Leon look fickle, and now there's like no other option for Juvia. It's like it's either Gray or nobody." And yeah, this is obviously someone who's not a Gruvia fan, but yeah, that's kind of the point. Again, and that's why I think it's the final arc. I mean, Mashima's getting like crack ships together, and I like Lirity. I've liked Lirity since fan art started showing up of them, because that was ages ago. It's like Mashima totally fandoms. He does check out what's popular, what people are liking, and yeah, Lirity's happening, and it's great because Gray and Leon have a similar relationship to each other that Juvia and Melody have, because Gray saved Leon during the Galuna Island arc and kind of turned his life around, and Juvia saved Melody during the Tenrojima arc and turned her life around. And not only that, Melody's older than both Gray and Juvia now, and more appropriate, age appropriate for Leon, who's like got almost 10 years on Juvia. So, and not only that, the whole point of the Gruvia thing in the first place was that Leon fell for Juvia, but Juvia was never swayed, not for a second. She may respect Leon, she may even find him attractive, but she's not in love with him. She loves Gray, and her feelings never were swayed. Okay, no matter how similar Leon is to Gray, it didn't matter to her. What mattered is that she loves Gray, and Leon isn't Gray, but personality wise, they're practically the same. So, but, and that's the other thing. So that Juvia never liked Leon in that way. And the fact that Mashima's transferring Leon's feelings to Juvia, I mean, from Juvia to Melody, is really basically to give Leon a happy ending, because otherwise Leon would be forever in unrequited love. And we're seeing that Juvia is not going to, he's not shifting Juvia's feelings to Leon and never will, because it's Juvia and Gray who are supposed to be together and will be together. And therefore, Leon needs to have somebody too so he can have his happy ending. And that's what's happening. So Mashima is basically tying up all the loose ends. Um, but yeah, I liked it. I liked the idea of Liberty and Gruvia having double dates and just being fun and awesome together. And but the thing is, they're stuck now in Fodderland in this arc so far. But they're going to probably fight Invul together, because there isn't anybody else they're going to fight as far as the Spriggans go, as far as I know. And I want there to be drama. I feel like the whole theme so far of this arc is one group teamwork in groups that make sense. As you know, so that you could see like more secondary characters who have a special relationship to one of the mains, fighting together in groups, and having everybody have a chance to shine and their relationships to be highlighted. That's why we've got Gruvia and Liberty together. Gruvia and Liberty, yeah. So uh, there's gonna be drama. There's gonna be angst. I hope so. But the other because the other themes I feel like of the fight so far is sacrifice and the potential of death. Okay, we had basically Lax. Well, we had the Raijin fighting against one of Wall's fake robot things, versions of himself, and each joined the fight, and basically the Raijin sacrificed themselves to help save him, and like they all fought together, and they're all injured now, and so there was a sacrifice there. And in Laxus's case, he was basically on the verge of death. He was dying because of the particles that were still bothering him. And he overcame that, and he won and fought Wall and beat him and overcame the particles, because Wall, unknowingly cured him. And again, like I said, there was teamwork with the Raijin and Ichiya, and there was teamwork in a way with Laxus, because he, if not for Freed's barrier, wouldn't have survived. So there's that, and then now you're on the Wendy and Shelia and Old Tier fight, and again, Charla, Carla, Charles, whichever you want to call her, she sacrificed herself for Wendy, and she's on the verge of death. And the girls have to sacrifice their magic power eventually for to get a boost right now, just so they could defeat Di Maria and cure Charla. So I feel like that theme of teamwork and group dynamics and sacrifice and death are going to continue on in all the fights. And Natsu already has a death flag over his head, because he's End, and he knows it, and he's connected to Zaref. So if Zaref dies, Natsu dies too. So I feel like everybody's gonna have that hanging over their heads. And in Gruvia's case, I feel like the only person who makes sense to die or be in danger of dying is Juvia, because if you think about it, all the people involved in that group have a special relationship to Juvia, like her very much, love her even. Gray, obviously. Leon, obviously, and Melody, obviously. They all adore Juvia, so it would hurt the most if they lose her. Not only that, we've been in this situation before. We've been there with Sin and Sacrifice. Same group. Gray died in that case. He's not going to die this time because he needs to do other things. And not only that, and I feel bad, kind of, not really, because because you know what? She's been waiting a long time. She's been trying very hard, and Gray's been kind of harsh towards her in the past. Only really during the rejection. Um, but he has, and he's made her wait a long time, and he's making her wait again. So I feel like that's the whole thing that basically Gray was talking about. The future, and what if because he's like, I'm going to give you an answer after the battle, but what if there is no after? What if you don't get the chance to give your answer because she's not there anymore? That's what I feel it was setting up for, that Gray's going to lose his chance, not because he's going to die, but because she is going to die. So yeah, he needs to suffer a little bit more because he's always losing people that he loves, that he cares about. And Juvia right now, she's his most important person. I have no doubt about that. So he's gonna suffer. He's because I want her to die. I mean, it sounds so horrible, but in this series, there's no real threat of death. There, in my opinion, I maybe Mashin will end up killing somebody, but it's not going to be anybody that matters that much. I want Makarov to die. Honestly, he should have died back in Tenojima. That would have done so much. That would have been such a huge, like, emotional boost that I felt like they needed. They all needed to suffer and like have some consequence. And you could say Old Tear's dead, but she was a villain anyway to begin with. So and she did kill a lot of people. So you know, but she lives forever like her mom. Her mom is stuck in the ocean. She's stuck in time. So she's alive forever in that way. That's why Grace said she's alive. Okay, and she is, but it's her spirit that lives on through time. So when there's a time distortion, there she is. So, but yeah, I want Juvia to die because I feel like that's what needs to happen as far as drama goes for Gruvia in this arc. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna recap with the Avatar stuff. There's really nothing to feel bad about. They lived together. They rubbed off on each other. They Gray ended it with him being grateful, like flat out saying he is grateful that she's there always by his side. Okay, and that he's gonna give her an answer, which basically promises us, like, it guarantees us canon on panel, which is huge, which is great. That's what we're waiting for right now. But the other thing that it did, unfortunately, and this is the thing, and this is why I didn't want Gruvia to be canon, okay, or any earlier than like the final arc, because in a way, what the other thing that the Gray promising Juvia an answer is that it's obvious he's not going to make her wait for a no. Anybody who thinks otherwise is really, really deluded, because if you think Gray is such a shithead that he's gonna make her wait for a no, you're horrible. What do you think of Gray? He's not like that. He's not such an asshole. Jesus Christ. He's not making her wait for a no. So, but because of that basically guarantees that they're gonna get together. And it's like they're practically canon now. Like, they are, in my opinion. So they're just he's melty gray. Oh, I never talked about that. He's melty gray. I forgot to go back to that. The whole he's warm thing. It didn't click to me because I'm like, why is he so sweaty? Like, even when he was talking about like brushing off the fact that they live together, making excuses, he was all sweaty, and then he was sweaty again, and so he just keeps being sweaty around Juvia, and I'm like, why is he so sweaty? What's with the sweaty gray? And then I realized he's not sweaty gray. He's melty gray. Melty. That's what the whole "you're warm" thing was about. Because we've been saying it for ages that, Juvia's, love is melting his heart, the ice around his heart. And he's on the defrost, okay? He's defrosting. He's already melted. Basically, he's like a puddle inside for Juvia. So it's so sweet because, she affects him. She did it. She broke down that ice barrier, and I think there was even a chapter cover that says Juvia is like, what did it say, that she was like bathing Gray in kindness, you know, showering him with affection, showering him with her love, you know, and that's exactly what it is. That she's this warmth, and he's her warmth too. That's the thing, that she can hug Gray, she can and feel that warmth radiating from him towards her. Like he literally and figuratively warmed up to her. And he's an ice mage, so that's what's so great. So yeah, that was that. It's very symbolic. It's really beautiful when you think about it. So they've just come such a long way, but it also it kills a little bit of the interest, because you're like, they're practically together. They're practically canon. That's for me personally. Um, when there's not that tension there of will they or won't they, when you're like pretty 100% sure, basically I'm 100% sure at this point that they're gonna get together, it just kind of, you know, your interest wanes, because you're like, well, you know, you're just waiting now until it inevitably happens. But that's why I want the drama, because I feel like Mashima knows that the tension isn't there unless there's like some kind of risk. Like, you need to have that question again. And the question will happen if Juvia is dead. And I don't think she's not going to die. I'm 100% sure about that too. I want her to I want the death scare. Will it happen? I don't know. I don't know. I don't 100% know that, but I know I want it. And I think it needs it. It needs that. Maybe Gray and Juvia won't be together because one of them isn't alive anymore. So, but yeah, I feel like people overreacted to Avatar. People took it so badly, and it's like, because we came off of such a high, and we always get that knockback, and the knockback was like, oh, Gray left. Oh, he didn't really want her living with him. Oh, Juvia basically was stuck in the rain for 6 months waiting for him to come back, and that's not cool about her character. And I feel like everybody took all those things so seriously, and it was so stupid, because when you look back on it, it's really all just good stuff. They lived together, they rubbed off on each other, and they're freaking, he's gonna, you know, he's in a place where he wants to be with her, basically, is what he's telling us. So that's all good. I don't know what you're seeing, but that's all good. But yeah, Avatar wasn't well written. I feel like it was all just a lot of shallow drama, and that's what sucked. So but yeah, that's my very long, oh my god, almost an hour rant about Gruvia and Avatar. But like I said, it had, you know, in my defense, it's been over a year since I talked and made a video about it. But yeah, so yeah, we're looking forward to canon for sure. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of how and when at this point. And yeah, I do think it is the final arc, because it makes sense. There's no other villains left. Everyone's in there, and unless they do like a short one of just Aknologia, but he's there too. So, you know, I feel like this is they're in it for one last hurrah, and even all the couples are basically being set up to they're all fighting together. You've got Jerza, you've got Gajevi, you've got Groovy, and you've got Nalu. They're all together right now. Hello. So yeah, yay for drama, yay for romance, yay for, let's see how this ends. And will I make another video? Maybe when they go canon, I will. But right now I'm just waiting for it, and it's gonna happen. And I want the death scare. And yay angst, yay tension. Bye.